Yeah, okay. Hello. Hello and welcome to Co-Creating Transformation with InnerMost Shift, where we are sharing today real stories of impactful shift of self and others. And today we have with us the always vivacious Anubha Bellani, who helps many people create the internal shift so that they can have a better emotional quotient, they can live a better life, they're better leaders and parents, and she does a whole lot of things, and with a central theme to really help people just have a better life, better be able to manage themselves better. So let's ask Anubha, the always smiling person that I've ever known. She's like always laughing and giggling. So, what made you come into this? What made you think of getting into something that transforms people's life?
So, thank you so much for having me on this platform, Prosperity. It's such a joy and seriously, really grateful. Never ever thought when I began my journey with you all that one day I'm going to be sitting and sharing my journey with you and so many other people as well. So, this is really, really good and it does make me smile. And thank you so much for that. So, what made me come into this journey uh, is a story of introspection, which I will just share with you. I've shared it many times over, but again, I will share that there was this lady, okay, and she had a child who was mama's child and an introverted child, did not speak too much, and in general was the nice obedient प्यारा सा बच्चा जिसको हम बोलते हैं. And then he became a teenager. Now what happened when he became a teenager was that he was discovering himself and he was individuating, right, and the mother did not understand that. So they started, in spite of being a very very good relationship between the mother and the son, they started having a lot of discord among themselves. So they were, the typical teenager behavior is what we usually term it as. But what is happening is that doors are being banged and things are happening in the house. People are screaming at each other. So this mother thought that the child needs to go to the therapist, and she started looking for therapists and looking for in this kind of an area coaches and stuff who can probably help the child through this phase of uh, becoming a teenager, right? So in that process, one of these days, the mother and child were having a screaming match. And that's when, there was this, मैं बोलती हूँ बत्ती जलना. So there was this batti jalna, absolute light bulb moment that happened when the mother realized, in fact, the child is not becoming whatever the mother is thinking. The child is just becoming an individual, and in fact it is the mother who needs the coaching, and that mother is me, and the child is Arnav. So yeah, this is my story. That is how I started looking out and came across Alpha Stars and just sent a message to Siri ma'am. And yeah, then for me, the rest is history.
Thank you, thank you for sharing your story. So honestly, I would say, look, Arnav is a beautiful child. I think sometimes I tell you that he's a coach to you. He's so, in some sense, of course, he's so sorted in himself. He's a beautiful child. And as parents, a lot of people, because as parents are so worried as to how the children are going to do take the next step, or how they will survive, or how they will do well for themselves. They kind to think that, okay, this is the way the child has to be.
Yeah.
And So far in your journey, obviously in the journey, you've become a PCC coach as well. So you've coached many, many people, and you've done so well in your coaching sessions. And of course, from a potter to a coach, by in pottery also you're so creating that change in the clay. And I remember you always said something along the lines of pottery and coaching combining together, right? Uh, it's also similar to how a parent molds the child. So, what do you have to say about it? Like, how does this shift happen?
So, from from a communications person, and communication, I mean all kinds of communications. I have been into writing and to editing and everything. From there to being a full-time mother, to being a freelance writer editor, to then becoming a studio potter. So the journey has been long, and now at Imagine 45, becoming a coach. So, and coming back to your question, prosperity, it has made me think a lot. Okay, when we do clay and when we do pottery, we feel that we are molding the clay, and but there are times, okay, we do have an idea, and a lot of potter friends are going to believe, actually concur with me and agree with me over here, that sometimes what happens is the clay has its own mind. So we are not the clay forms, हम कुछ और सोचते हैं, we think कि we are going to mold it this way, and yet it doesn't get molded that way. So it just becomes, so I think, more than more than anything, it is a conscious living that coaching taught me. It taught me how creatively I can be, and it also taught me how I can fail better, because in pottery there are many, many broken pieces. And you remember my studio was called Studio Crackpot, only because it was giving a tribute to the pots that crack all the time. So I would say a parent, or even a coach, is actually like a gardener, because a gardener will provide the nurturance, and the nature will do its own job, and it will hold a safe space for the plant to grow the way the plant is growing. And anytime the plant is not doing so well, the gardener will adjust the soil, the gardener will, give it manure and take care of it like that. So I feel more than a potter, it's the gardener that a parent needs to be. We think we can control it, but we cannot.
Absolutely, absolutely. It reminds me, one of my favorite movies, Kung Fu Panda, and he says, no matter what you do, a peach is not going to come out. An acron will be an acron. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Like, when you say, it's my entire effort that has made the seed go into a plant, but you can't change what that is. You can nourish it, and you can water it, and you can give it your everything, but in the end, it has to grow and sprout into who he or
yeah,
she is, if we're talking about human beings right now.
absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I so agree with that.
So, how does innermost shift coaching help you in making people realize who they are? In fact, how did innermost shift coaching help you unlayer yourself?
Better. So when I approached Alpha Stars, I really did not come, and I remember saying the same words in my first session in the introduction, that I am here to first take care of myself. I have no lofty ambitions to change the world, or to, you know be in so much of service that, people are coming to me for advices. No, I am not in that space. I am in this space where I want to live my highest potential, where I want to be a better version of myself, right? So i so so i feel, it is like yesterday, prosperity, when you were coaching me, and we were talking about purpose. And I realized that, when I spoke those words, it sounds so true to me. That and it has been one of the lines that we have been listening to a lot, right? Apo Deepo Bhava, right? Be the lamp yourself. So, and then uske baad jyot se jyot jalao, right? So I came for my own transformation, and then people started kind of क्या बोलते हैं वो जुड़ने लग गए, right? Like people started coming for coaching, and I started sharing my own insights. I started sharing my own stories on various platforms, and that probably encouraged more and more and inspired more and more people to come to me for coaching. And that has been my giving back, because actually coaching helped me so much. That कुछ भी होता है ऐसे coaching works. Coaching works. Coaching करो, उसकी coaching करो. so so yeah, so it starts with you first. It starts always begins with you. I never looked at it as my alternative career. I never looked at it as my business model. Nothing. I was only focused on myself, and that created a ripple effect, and that is so satisfying.
So, what was the biggest impact it created on you that you can share in this
I
forum?
can share many, and I still remember sir's words when we did the value coaching, and there is this matrix, right? Shift here, shift here, shift here, belief में shift है, value में shift है, emotion में shift है, personality में shift है, eventually consciousness में. And any shift, small, so जब earth move करती है, when the earth moves its tectonic plates, the shift is this much.
Just speak a little
But
louder, please.
okay, so the shift is only small, but the impact is huge. It affects the entire thing. So there have been huge shifts and there have been minor shifts. So the the most, I don't know whether to call it huge or not right now, prosperity, but the most impactful moment for me was when I discovered my values. And so, there was this I can share this, that we had these sheets, right, in module 4,
Yeah.
and there were these values that said, okay, what do you value, and just write down your values. And it sounded like such a great thing to do, and wow, and okay, let's start. So I wrote like so many nice values that I didn't know that I have or I don't have, but it just sounded so cool and everything, and they are the values. They were the values that I thought I have. And then I wrote in spirituality. I remember in spirituality, because I consider myself as a spiritual person. So spirituality, may I wrote like a couple of things, and as a good parent, I thought I'm writing a couple of things. And then sir called me, towards him, and the audience was the rest of the participants were here, and he
Facing the
asked,
audience.
yeah. So he asked me, so this thing was about some parenting value that I had written, and he says, so how do you practice it? And the color drained off my face, because these were the values, and these values I thought bring a lot of value into my life, and they were worth living. But was I actually living them? And on a scale of 1 to 10, I was pretty low on all the values that I had written. And that was like a jaw drop moment for me. Like, okay, this is what it is. You don't have to just feel your feelings. You also have to get over your feelings, and you have to sometimes work in spite of them to
Yeah.
live your value. And sir said this, it is not easy, but it is worth it. And that has stuck with me in most of my relationships. I'm not saying, I'm not claiming that every time I'm like this, but most of the times I'm like this. And the times I'm not like that, living my value, I bounce back much faster. I know how to kind of, one of my spiritual values was forgiveness. So I know exactly how to forgive myself and move on. So that created a different Anubhav.
I think that's very, very important. It's not that anything that we become aware of, it does not change just like that. It does not happen that in a moment, wherever I am, I'll start living by my highest value, or I'll have the best of my relationship, or I'll start living my vision at the very best. None of it happens like in a moment. I think the way it really works is it creates so much awareness and consciousness of it. And when you carry that with you, that itself, and that's why monitoring yourself is so important, because day to
Absolutely.
day activity just takes over, and then
And
sometimes
that
it just falls apart.
and that is exactly why every coach needs to have a coach prosperity. That is one thing. Another thing that I learned, another very, very impactful thing that I learned is my entire body posture has changed. My spine remains erect. I am never sitting like this. I'm never talking like this. My entire posture from there has changed.
Wonderful.
I,
बहुत अच्छा that you were always
and
like
when I
this.
feel when I feel that I'm slumping, I'm so conscious of it. And then I realized one thing that I also learned that Sir says, and I really follow it very, very well. I am proud that I imbibe that value. Is that we keep talking about center yourself, center yourself, center yourself, and we keep thinking and centering begins learning how to center began for me in pottery, because first you have to center the clay and then you have to create something. So just like in pottery, in life, if you are uncentered and are off centered, you cannot create what you want to create, right? So I always thought that centering means mentally center yourself. And then Sir said that it is the movement of micro muscles. Center yourself from here right down, and that helps in centering. And I keep doing whenever I think that my thoughts are going, haywire and this and that. First, I will do is center my physical body, and then the rest happens.
Because our mind and body are so connected. When we shift our thoughts, our body shifts. When we shift our body, our mind shifts. So it's actually works in alignment all the time. So if you monitor even one of the two, the other one gets impacted in a big way. So it does happen. Right?
And this is this
And
is
how do
this
you
is
help your
again one of the
clients?
biggest learnings for me, prosperity. Big learning.
It was a big learning for me as well. It was a huge learning.
उस टाइम पे गुस्सा आता था, अरे यार the entire day you are sitting as a participant, for like 8-9 hours. How can you not sit like this? And then sir would look at you and then you would, but that created a habit.
I am, but every workshop, I'm like, okay, sit straight. And even during the coaching sessions, when the clients are not engaged, they're like, just talking like this. And there are so many times, like, no, I'm just sitting. And we keep telling our clients again and again, okay, sit straight, so that your entire mind and body is engaged together. Uh, Even though there is some kind of, how would I say, a hesitation on the client's part, eventually if you keep doing it, it does create an impact even in them, and they notice it. What
and
has
then
so,
and then sorry, I'm like again speaking in the middle, but I've become a very good listener, huh? This doesn't mean if I'm speaking in the middle I'm not a good listener.
you're listening and then talking?
So that is one thing I learned also, being a good listener. Okay, so what I was saying is that, like, also again another learning that I want to share is that, you know uh, lead the client by doing what you're doing, right? Like, so if the client is like this, so it's like, first you copy and then you lead, and then you will
That's a
notice
very
that
good
even
one.
if you're not
Yes, the
all the
client
time
will
telling
also. The client
mirror and lead, mirror and lead. Yeah.
yes. A beautiful way to just make the client unconsciously come forward, right?
Am I giving my tricks away?
There is so much more that comes with it.
Yeah, I know.
So, tell me this, like earlier when you said that you continuously keep monitoring yourself, and now you have kind of created this habit to sit straight, and be erect. That's something that you have imbibed in yourself. And we always tell people in InnerMost Shift coaching also that to always help your clients manage their state first. Okay. Uh, how do you help your clients monitor their goals, no matter what goals they're looking at, be it state goals, behavior goals, outcome goals? How do you do that with a client?
So I think prosperity, you gave the answer away when you said manage your state, right? So this is another very big learning, is that we all have a particular recipe of doing something. Again, a learning. Maybe I'm even using the same words that Sir uses.
That used, yes.
But I am a good shagird, right? So so
I was just that was just on my mind. A good student.
so so when we all know that, and I say this very often, prosperity, when we do it, and we do it all the time, because our body is very very intelligent, our mind is very very intelligent, and we do it unconsciously all the time, whether whatever goal is it. So if for example, if I have to sit and write, I need to be in a particular state. The state will get me to write. Anything changes in that state, the recipe has changed. So this is how I also explain it to my clients, and then get them to know. And like I was saying, eventually it's unconsciously we do it. But when we do it consciously, it becomes a strategy. So so how do you strategize that this is how this is what are the things or the ingredients in a recipe if you want to wake up early. This is the recipe if you want to feel confident while you are maybe having a public speech, or presenting, or even just cooking or writing or doing whatever it is. What is the state that you unconsciously hold when you are doing that job well? And now understand that state, like like we always talk about body, we talk about sense, we talk about thinking, we talk about thoughts, and all of that. Take out the ingredients and then create that recipe. Simple. And then that is the strategy. Follow the recipe.
As easy as making tea,
As easy
right?
as making tea. And I always give that example. But it is not easy for me to make tea, you know that, right?
So let's make it black coffee.
Yeah. I'm only good at making stories. Yeah.
And what kind of a shift do your clients notice in themselves when they, one, when they have a coaching session with you, and when they'll also be able to consistently live the shift that they create?
It is, so it is really beautiful that, you know, it is so different from other coaching. Like, let me elaborate on that a little. What I mean is that there are some models that will only work if you have to reach a particular outcome or goal, and after that you kind of forget it, your goal is reached, and then you move on, and either you fall back or you move on with another set of goal, because goal is ever changing, right? Goalpost always keeps changing. Goal is never the same. Once you achieve one goal, there is
Absolutely.
another goal to achieve. So one coaching focuses there, but innermost shift coaching, I feel, and I have experienced it, at my clients have also experienced it, focuses on the person. We coach the person. We do not coach the problem. The problem gets sorted. That is a
Yes.
byproduct of innermost shift coaching, right? That problem gets sorted, then the other problem gets sorted because you've coached the person. So I feel that my clients who have moved on and are really really doing very well, and when I get a random call, or when they remember me, or when they sometimes share a screenshot that Anubha, today's gratitude was for you in our lives, it feels, it just feels so beautiful. And I keep reminding myself, I am just the channel. It is them who have done the work. So I keep telling them, please take your hand like this. Prosperity, take your hand like this. And now reverse it and pat yourself. Because actually you have worked, right? You have done the work. I have just been the gardener. I have just held the space for you. So and another thing that I feel is my success is when my client stops needing me for those particular issues that they have come to me for. And like Sir always says, and I have imbibed that value in my coaching sessions, is of overvalue. Even though I stretch myself, even though sometimes, I have my family members and people telling me, like, why you are getting paid for this much? Why you're doing this? So I've learned this as a value from Sir.
It's so true. Um, I remember you have just taken so many of Sir's lessons. It's amazing.
I'm a good student.
So it when you tell the client that it's your doing, and Sir always says that you do not get into that ego that it's my doing, and you just keep that apart from yourself. So it's really wonderful to not let that touch you, and if we can refrain from that, I did it, it can it can continuously serve us more than telling that I did it. So,
Absolutely.
um,
So because in this profession prosperity, it is so easy to get a big head, right? Because just by holding this space, people change. Just by asking them, what is it that you're going to do differently, change happens, transformation happens. So is it you who
Absolutely.
are doing it? No, you're not doing it. So when they come and tell me, I keep reminding them that you changed something. And I keep reminding myself also, like, yeah, I am just a channel. Yeah.
In this channel of yours, can you share some stories of people who have impacted themselves? Let me say this.
There are many many stories, and one story that always actually all the stories are so beautiful of transformation, and it's like, you are seeing the blossoming happening in front of you, is my own. And so I am my first client, right? And
Yes.
how I have transformed. I sometimes prosperity, just to make a confession, I also do go through imposter syndrome. मुझे लगता है कि अरे ये तो मैंने किया ही नहीं, but like you're saying, and like I always think of it also that the entire journey is about sadhana of what you're aware of. I am aware of, and that awareness has come from within me, and that is my light bulb moment. How much I can walk the path, and then eventually live the value of forgiving myself and keep on the path.
Mhm.
I think that's been really wonderful for me, prosperity.
You you have really worked on yourself, and that's so true. And you're living those values, and um, I remember your value session very clearly when you said that that keeps coming back to me.
Yeah. Yes.
But, right now I'm like really curious to know some of the other clients that you have helped. वो जो thank you notes आते हैं उसकी कहानी
अच्छा, वो सुनना ही है.
वो तो सुनना ही है.
Okay, so
Because you have helped so many
there was
people,
this client. So I'll share
हाँ.
small nuggets from a couple of clients. Okay. So there's this client who said, called me once and said, "Anubha, तूने तो मुझे शेरनी बना दिया." Okay, and then there is this really beautiful client who really does the good job of working on herself, on her personal goals, on everything. Was going through major physical problems, prosperity, and I did some pranic healing with her as well, and I did coaching sessions also. In fact, she has enrolled herself again. She's a repeat person. She's enrolled herself again for a different set of things, but and she was not able to sit on the chair for. She quit her job. She was not able to sit on the chair. She created her goals. She did so much of work on herself. She did the guru stage. She did management of emotions. She did everything, prosperity, and now she's working 11 hours a day, or like longer hours,
Wow.
and she's done the house. And this was the person who couldn't sit for the session. She told me, "Anubha, I am going to be lying down." Anubha di bolti hai mujhe. "Anubha didi, I'm going to be lying down on the couch for the session. Is that okay?"
Hmm.
So
That is so wonderful, Anubha. I didn't
yeah, so
even know
that was
about this.
the
Thank you so much for
that was
sharing
the
it.
yeah, another person who I was coaching, going through really tough time in her life. Within a session of coaching, she left her sleeping pill.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm not. So what I'm saying here is, prosperity. That coaching looks forward, right? It is future oriented. अब क्या करना है? I still remember sir's word. तो अब क्या करना है? Only stories are enough. Moving ahead, right? But what I have noticed is that even though we are looking forward, right, and future, we are looking at how we are going to be doing things differently. We heal. Healing is not the first step in coaching, but healing happens. So I don't know if I've put it in a
It,
manner
it,
that.
it does make a lot of sense because I truly have come to believe. I never believed it earlier before I came into this. Of course, I never thought about such things, but I have truly come to believe that almost all of our problems can be solved just by aligning our emotions and our values. And if we live in alignment, we will not have at least 90% of the problems that we become so used to living with. It can get resolved easily. And similar to what you are saying, uh, I can remember stories of students who came to class and they got over their back pain or their other
Left
problems that they have.
smoking, left smoking, a chain smoker left
Less smoking,
smoking.
yes. Less
I
smoking,
remember all
less
that.
drinking. There were so many people who have had so many illuminations in life, and more than that, they just get over their sickness as well. So it's just amazing that when you drop deep health patterns within yourself, you can get over the disease. So
So
that's
one
something
thing,
that does.
that I will quote sir again. तो सर बोलते हैं कि so we keep, so there was something that one of the conversations with him I kept talking about. I want to let go, and let go also again is a strategy, right? Like how you let go is a strategy of how you've let go of so many other things in life, but you are still holding it. So sir said, again, very coaching oriented thing is let in, right? So if this is a glass of water and it is filled with muddy water, if I keep filling it with saaf pani, fresh water, eventually the mud is going to go out. I'm not letting go of this. I'm just letting in
Letting in,
fresh
yes.
water, right? So so
Yeah.
so so that helped. कितना कितना बोलते रहोगे? There are times when everything has has its own place and significance. I'm a pranic healer also, so I do that as well. But coaching, I feel, is all about letting in.
Yes. So you have spoken a lot of sir's words. Right. What do you have to say about sir and ma'am Sat and Siri Khalsa as trainers,
As trainers,
as
and you as
educators, as
and
trainers?
and and you as well, prosperity. So I see all three of you as really a holistic arrangement. So yes, while I do speak about sir a lot and I do quote him a lot, and that is because um, when I was training, sir had done most sessions,
Most
but
of the session,
Siri
yes.
ma'am brings in so much of freshness. उनसे आप कुछ भी पूछ लो, right? Like you ask her anything, and she was the only one who used to be available during the tea breaks.
Yeah.
Her
For
curiosity,
all the queries.
yeah, for all the queries. Huh? Sir used to be sitting in the room. Her curiosity about each person. Acha, you're in the army? Like as if she's listening to somebody in the army for the first ever time. Oh wow, you are becoming Mrs. World. Oh wow, tell me. You know, you are a parent. Wow, tell me about your child. Whoever you are, she looks at you with such fresh, curious eyes. And if you ask her a question, she will coach you standing right there in the moment. And you would think, oh my God, what hit me? And you, prosperity, you have been a constant support. I call you my soul sister, and I can pick up. So see, it's a privilege. It's a privilege that you guys have given me, right? So it's not like you don't know about boundaries, right? You don't know your boundary and you will pick up every call. But it's a privilege you've given me as a student of Alpha Stars and as a good student of Alpha Stars, that okay, you can call me. I will
I like it when you identify as a good student of Alpha Star.
see, sir is going to listen to this, no? So he has to know, no?
So you have to.
so so these are the privileges that I have, and you have coached us so much just by your presence around us, looking supervising our sessions, just talking to us, clearing our doubts. You know the tools like the I think even better than the back of your hand. You may not know the back of your hand so well the way you know the coaching tools, right? And through my journey of PCC prosperity, you have been one um, huge catalyst. Anubha, when is the recording coming? Anubha, when is the recording? So, like I said in my form, and like I'm saying now, words are very, very. limiting to what Alpha Stars has given me personally, what Alpha Stars has given me as the training ground and continues to give me. So, yeah.
So, thank you so much for your kind words and everything that you have said. And treat to banti hai or do be hai.
Absolutely.
So, tell me this, like, since you mentioned the tools, which is your favorite tool? Which is something that you love to use with your clients?
Okay, so what I love to use is discovering values. What I also love to use is, and I don't. So okay, so what I love to use is also hope and alive. What I have started doing, again, sir will come in developing perspective. I've started doing. He used to say that first do it on chairs and then start it as a mental this thing. So what I started doing is for myself. I also use it a lot mentally, and I love the kind of insights
Outcome.
that a person gets out of that. And then there are those NLP tools which are really powerful. One of the tools is to see your picture, and like the twice removed picture, that one. I also do submodality shifts, and one thing that I've become very attuned to, prosperity, is body awareness of myself and my client.
And how do you use the other aspects, whatever you have been doing or what you have learned after you've done innermost coaching? One, of course, you mentioned you do pranic healing as well. But how do you combine anything else that you do with your coaching session?
Combine what?
Anything that you do, like pranic healing or pottery or writing, if at all you combine any of your other learnings, like you do trainings, I know you give trainings and then you do coaching. So how do you combine things together?
Okay. So with pottery, I do a lot of mindfulness approaches and workshops as well for adults. So that is one thing that I use pottery for. In fact, through the pandemic, I've not been able to get back to pottery as a potter, but I
Hmm.
use pottery as mindfulness sessions because I feel that, like you were saying, talking about mind and body alignment and everything. So my one of my beliefs is that, if one has to do just one inner work, and pottery gets you to that, is to have one thought, the same thought as words, and the same thought as actions. So when your thought, your words, and actions, head, heart and hand are aligned,
Other thing.
that's what mindfulness is all about. So
Mm,
I combine
mm,
those two. Then since I've been a writer, I write,
mm.
and I've written blogs, and it just helps me because I do my reels and all, I do impromptu, so I bring that. And yeah, I'm going to be soon writing a book.
All the best. We look forward to
इसके लिए
it.
थोड़ा थोड़ा ज़्यादा काम करना पड़ेगा, but yeah.
बहुत काम करना पड़ता है. But so that brings me to the last question that we have. Um, what value of yours aligns to the value that innermost shift coaching has?
What value of mine? Like I shared, prosperity. One of the values that I have owned through being a good student and a good observer of Sir has been to bring more value to the table, and that is what I bring in my coaching. So that is one value that my coaching has. So I don't know if this was the question, or was it something else that you were asking, but this is what is coming to me in my
Whatever
mind.
comes to your mind. What I was asking was, and just clarify me if this is what it meant to you. Um, the value of listening, because when you're observing and listening, is that something that you see is true in coaching as well, which is very important to you in your life as well.
Yes, so prosperity, uh, I would not just say listening. I have been a very poor listener because I talk a lot. So I used to, like, listen very less. So it is not just listening. So I still have, the the frame that you guys have given me. It says awaken your charismatic coaching presence. So I bring my entire presence of what I have learned in innermost shift coaching, and listening is just a part of it. So there has to be this energy of love. There is the joy that I bring. There is the lightness of being that I bring. So I think I just bring my whole presence in the coaching space.
That's beautiful. Honestly, that's so beautiful because it's much more than listening. And you've nicely put me back in my place. That it's much more than listening. It's really about bringing your own presence, and that it doesn't matter what kind of coaching it is. If a coach can be completely in presence and not just present to the client, I think that's when the coach can enable any kind of a change in the client. So that's thank you so much, Anubha. Thank you for being here. And any lasting thoughts if you have, please do share.
No, thanks to you, Prosperity. Thanks to Sir, and thanks to Ma'am for all that you guys do, all that you there are so many students that you have impacted, and through those students there are so many lives that are getting impacted. Imagine one PCC means 500 coaching hours and counting. So how much you guys have done? And yeah, coaching, I always, like I said earlier, coaching helped me. I have a coach, and hence I tell, okay, coaching kar lo. So anybody who listening to me still sitting on the fringes, I always say, go do the work, right? Like, actually, just go and do it. And lasting words, one thing and one more learning that I can share, that my son has written a story on. I'll share the story as well with you eventually. Prosperity is what Sir said. So once I was again, like, I have this habit of quoting Sir a lot, and he said, people remember the teacher, they forget the teaching. So
Yes.
remember the teaching. So this is my last. This is what I want to end with, is that, Sir, I remember you, the teacher, and I remember your teaching.
And you just have to listen to this to know that yes, you remember all the teachings.
And Arnav has written a beautiful story on it, prosperity, and I will share that with
Yeah, please do. I would love to read it.
you.
So, thank you everyone for being over here and listening to Anubha's story and her journey. And as you already know, she can really create an impact in a lot of people. While she so beautifully has worked on herself, she has created deep impact in other people as well. And she has just given a glimpse of it to us today. You can check out her Facebook page or LinkedIn page where she has mentioned bits and pieces of details over there. So Anubha, can you elaborate on how can anyone get in touch with you?
How can anyone connect with me? Okay, anyone can connect with me through prosperity. Anyone can approach me directly. I have a Facebook page where I'm pretty active on. I am very active now, right now, on Instagram. So go check me out and check what I have learned, how I'm being present to myself. And if it calls out to you, yeah,
Get
okay,
in touch
call
with her.
me.
So I'll share the Facebook handle and LinkedIn handle, Instagram handle, and her website on the chat box so you can get in touch with her. Thank you all for being over here. Thank you, Veena, for your beautiful words. And bye bye. Thank you.